All right, guys, welcome to the video. So we're in chapter 4, rooms management and guest accounting applications. So these are all part of the PMS. So we're in hotels mostly, right? So I'm just going to briefly talk about a few things that I find interesting and that I think that kind of will give you a snapshot of the whole thing. And so let's get right into it. It won't be a very long video, hopefully. I've said that before, right? Okay, so the primary functions of room management modules is to link the front office to housekeeping. Very important. Those two departments have a very symbiotic relationship. I mean, you can't sell rooms if they're not clean. You can't clean a room unless you know it needs to be cleaned. So the relationship between those and the communication thereof is very, very important. So it also identifies room statuses. It provides in-house guest information, organizes housekeeping activities. So not only does it communicate with housekeeping, but it actually helps to organize the activities. It provides auxiliary services, and it generates reports. And those reports are important, especially when it comes to housekeeping. When we are able to, well, it's not even just housekeeping, but when we're able to understand, have a report that shows how many rooms were functional, how many rooms were not functional, how many rooms were available, and all those different things at any given time. That's good stuff for any manager to have. But also with the housekeeping, evaluates housekeeping performance. If it, you can keep track of how long it takes so many housekeepers to clean so many rooms, and then you can create an average, and that helps you schedule. All right. So very important stuff. Good stuff there. All right. So other things it does is automatically assigns rooms and rates at check-in. So automatically assigning rooms is actually, the amount of brain power that people used to have to do by checking boards and checking charts and all that other stuff, where now it's all automatically done by the system. It really helps out. And then the room rate as well. It's tied in right into revenue management. For those of you who, I don't know if I've talked about revenue management, but basically revenue management is the automated system that takes all kinds of factors into account and assigns prices to rooms. The closer we are to the point where that room can't be sold anymore, like midnight, the night of the room, the cheaper it becomes, right? Or if all of a sudden there's an increased demand, it raises the prices, right? So all of that is done automatically now without having any guesswork, right? And most of the time it can be overridden, so that's good. Okay, so let's look at this. It eliminates the need for traditional front office equipment. This is what I talked about, all the charts. People back before computers, I remember, people got very creative in how the way they track things like that. They had little magnets and stuff like that. That's why I'm going like this. I remember where people would have magnets and all kinds of different things like that, all right? We don't need that now. It's all done by the system. All right. Enabling management to schedule housekeeping staff more efficiently. Exactly what I was talking about before. If we can project that we're going to have so many rooms that need to be cleaned, we can project the amount of housekeepers because we have from our previous reports how long it takes, the average time for a room to be cleaned, and all that other stuff. So it's very efficient. So it also providing automated wake up systems. So now we're starting to get into the guest service stuff, right? So it does a lot of different stuff. All right, so let's go next one. All right, so these are just some of the room status terms. These are neat to know for those of us who aren't in the hotel industry. It's kind of interesting to learn these, and those of you who are, you're going to be familiar with these, or you will need to be familiar with them. If you look at page 84, Exhibit 1 on page 84, and then Exhibit 3 on page 86, Exhibit 1 shows like a made-up screenshot of the room status, and it's got all these codes next to the room numbers. And then if you look at you'll see things like OOO, OD, VC, all these things. And then it gives a total of all the different categories. So then if you look on page 86, then you can see what those are. The O is occupied, complimentary would be C, stay over, they decided not to check out, so someone who was scheduled to check out, they're staying over, that would be an S. On change, guest has departed, but the room has not been cleaned and released for sale. So it's kind of in limbo. So you got some other ones. Do not disturb, sleep out, skipper. The guest has left the hotel without making arrangements to pay, to sell his or her account. That's important to know because legally, it depends on the state, but legally, if that happens and we enter the room and there's property in there, how we handle that property is there's legal consequence. Some that is in our favor and some is in favor of the guest. So that's important. So you can't just automatically just sell a room that was a skipper, because if they have something in there, you have to deal with it. All right. Sleeper, guest has settled his account and left the hotel, but the front office has failed to properly update the room status. So the guy's gone, the person's gone, man or woman's gone. It's just it hasn't taken. They haven't caught up, or we put some mistake on our end, or something like that. Vacant and ready. That's what we want, right? Out of order. That's not a good thing, and we want to track those. Lockout. The room has been locked, so that the guest cannot re-enter until he or she is cleared by the hotel office. Some of these you might not see or use. All right, I don't think I'd want to use that one too much as a manager, but you might. Did not check out, so person might be gone, but they didn't check out. So there's some nuances there. The due out, but we don't know if they are checked out, and then the late checkout. So, and then of course they're always going to be different. Some hotels might create their own codes for certain things that they've found that they need to. All right. So there we go. All right. This is probably as far as I'm going to go with this slideshow, because I think there's a couple things on here that are important. Room status discrepancies occur when the housekeeping department's description of a room status differs from the front desk status information. Look at the two entities. You have the housekeeping and the front desk. Now, when you really look at this, right, who is right? Well, the housekeeping staff is right? Because they are the ones in the freaking room, right? They're the ones in the room. So they're going to be the ones that are more correct. However, there's things that they are, and there's things as they should be, right? So the front desk records things as they should be. So the front desk has somebody come down, drop off their card, they do a formal checkout, boom, they say that the room is ready to be serviced, and the staff goes up there and there's somebody sleeping in the bed. All right. Do you think that happens? I mean, I don't really know how often it happens, but I'm sure it does. All right. So, but when this happened a lot more when things were just done on pen and paper, right? So a good system can and has over time reduced the amount of times that these are problems, right? And when those problems occur, they can undermine a property's ability to satisfy guests and maximize room revenue, right? Because when the status of a room says it's available and it's not, and we sell it, and then we give somebody the key and they walk in and somebody's sleeping or somebody taking a shower, that doesn't look good for us, right? So the non-automated properties, the properties that don't have this automated system, have more problems with discrepancies than ones that do. All right. So that is a big selling point, even for the smallest of properties, to get some kind of automated system. Okay. So I think that's where I'm going to stop. I don't think there's anything else that I really want to talk about. Room rates, we talked about that. That's tied in with our revenue management. But there's a lot of good information on here. And the thing about this is, read this chapter, take the quiz, do the work. But the bottom line is, unless you're going to use these, this is really just all theoretical. But if you are someone who uses these, the funny thing is this book probably doesn't accurately describe your particular software because they're all different. But it's just trying to give you all an idea of all the moving parts and all the reasons why these systems are critical for a property to function efficiently and effectively. All right. So that's it. And I will see you guys in the discussion. All right. Have a good week.